Folks. Ed, thank you. Folks, the press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of the same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Would you please turn off all pagers and electronic equipment? We're going to stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Blumberg.
Here.
Let's go right to department reports. Why don't we start on the right side of me today? Chief?
Actually, I have nothing to report this week. Everything's good.
Okay. Maureen?
We've been talking about raising our fee prices for our... Sorry. That's why I got you here.
Read the emails.
Sorry. We've been talking about raising our fee prices for our ordinances because we haven't raised them in probably 15 or 20 years. And I got a survey of the three that the police use most here, the public consumption, the loud noise, and the public urination. I did a survey of all the coast towns from Atlantic City down to Cape May, and we charge $75. And a lot of the shore towns in Cape May County charge $250, $300. But I think they have the more bars with more people, like the more of the college crowd that we used to have that we don't have anymore. So I was thinking about that if it was okay with everybody else, that we would raise the price of those three from $100 to $150, those payable violations. And then anything else that we have on our payable schedule, they're all $75, just maybe raise them up to $100. And
Go ahead, finish, I'm sorry.
no, that's it. I just I discussed it with Rich the other day at our department head meeting, and he said it seemed like a good idea, but to bring it up here and see what anybody else has to say. Any questions?
Can you put that in writing and get it to us? So
Yeah.
we'll consider it for the next meeting?
Sure,
Is that
absolutely.
okay?
Yep, no problem. Sure. And that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Maureen?
Yes.
Could I ask you, and I don't mean you to do a ton of work.
Yeah.
These other towns that you questioned, can you put that on like a little spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Like, here's a column
Okay.
of the towns, here's the violation.
Yep.
This is what they charge, this is what I propose.
Absolutely.
All right? Thank you.
But I also found out that like Atlantic City, Ventnor, Lawport, and Summers Point, they don't have payable violations for those type of ordinances. They make the people appear. So it's a little, I think that can be a little bit more time consuming because a lot of times, public consumption or loud noise, people, first offense they want to pay. If it's been a problem here and it's a second or multiple offense, usually the police officer would write court appearance required, then they would come in before the judge. So usually the first time they have to pay $100 or $150, they get the message. But yeah, absolutely, I'll do it in a spreadsheet and email
If
everybody.
you have any questions, consult with Chief Wilson and
Yeah.
you'll get us a report. Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fred?
Stop. Stop it.
I would like to address an article that was in the hometown section about the Green Team and Sustainable New Jersey. There are a few things in there that aren't as accurate as they should be. The first thing is, in 2009, I happened to have been appointed as the head of Sustainable New Jersey as a resolution that I have in my hand, which should be rescinded, and I would like to have it rescinded. Secondly, there's talk in there about building audits, and I could save them the time since I did all the buildings in Margate. I audited them in 2008 for mechanical and building specs and all of that. So here's a book for the Sustainable team. They could have, that'll give us some points. Then we did an energy audit as per the Sustainable New Jersey site, so they can get more points for that. That was done also. And then we did a direct install, which made all of our buildings energy efficient through the Clean Energy Program. So here's a report for that. They could get some more points for that, too. Okay? So I think I just got them about 700 points.
Thank you for your contribution.
You're very welcome.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Jim?
Fred, should that documentation be turned over to Commissioner Talby? I believe, Rich, she's leading the new charge on this for us? I'm surprised that she hasn't discussed it with you. But is the intent for that documentation to go to Commissioner Talby?
It should go to whoever's handling Sustainable New Jersey at this point in time. I mean, they're the points right there. Here's all the points right there.
Okay,
We'll make sure to
thank
take
you.
that, Fred.
Okay?
Jim?
I got a big pile of stuff here.
It's not for you.
All right. I have nothing to report. We're busy, like, as you can see by the construction going on, and the ground's very wet, so we're trying to keep the streets, tell the contractors to clean up after themselves when they run their machines through the grounds of the construction site. So we're trying to keep ahead of the game. Frank will try to keep the streets clean so you guys don't have to clean them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Tom?
The school board secretary administrator Sue Palea contacted us about the Board of School Estimates meeting. There's always a small window each year that they can have the budget hearing for the board, and this year it is between Monday, March 24th and Monday, March 31st. They are suggesting either Tuesday, the 25th, or Wednesday, the 26th of March, and they were looking for just an idea what the city wanted to do.
I'm looking, Maury. What about you? Are you? Maury?
I don't have my calendar in front of me, but Tom, typically didn't we try and do this on a meeting Thursday before our regular meeting?
Yeah, we do, but unfortunately, this window here falls on a week when we don't have a meeting. It's the fourth
Okay.
Thursday of the month.
What are his 2 dates again, Tom?
Tuesday, the 25th, or Wednesday, the 26th of March.
Okay, I'm okay both days, so I'm fine.
I'm sure I'll be available.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Abbott?
It's been a busy several weeks, Mayor, and it's all good. First and foremost, I'm advised by County Council that stormwater venture with the City of Ventnor, the County of Atlantic, and the County Utilities Authority has been signed by all parties, awaiting Mr. Levinson's signature, which he tells me will be tomorrow. So that deal will be fully signed by the 4 entities, and we'll be moving forward on that $1.5 million stormwater pump code project with the City of Ventnor and the county, which will help, hopefully, flooding situation in the north end of Margate. So that's moving forward. That's a good thing. Mayor, also, and Commissioner Blumberg and Commissioner Talby, when you listen to this meeting, Mr. Goldberg is the individual who's buying that strip of land at the end of Rumson Avenue. I have the fully signed contract now. Ed Wahlberg, our city engineer, has reviewed the specs for that bulkhead. You'll recall that in exchange for that 7-foot wide strip of land, Mr. Goldberg will be replacing 229 feet of bulkhead. That has a value, Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, of, well, at least about $250,000 more, easily that. So it's a big plus for the city of Margate. That bulkhead will be constructed, they've started construction. It's going to be at the new elevation for the beach side at 13, measured at 1988. So if you're curious to see what does that look like, take a look. But recall, every street elevation is different. So what at Rumson is actually pretty high, may not be the same at, say, Essex Avenue. But it's a big step forward, and it's part of our ongoing efforts to deal with flood issues. Now, also with regard to the Quincy Avenue, as you know, for a number of months, city owns that strip of land a little bit, it's bigger than the one on Rumson. And the attorney for the upland owner that's adjoining has agreed, if you'll recall my last letter, we should get an appraisal. I have a price of $2,500. A little bit reluctant to have the city spend that kind of money for an appraisal, especially if you're not sure somebody's going to buy it. So upon request, the adjoining property owner agreed to pay the city the $2,500. In return, if he does actually buy this, that'll be credited at settlement. We're talking about a lot of money here. I don't want to say a figure to to put that in somebody's mind or the appraiser's mind. But we're talking a significant amount of money, and this will set the table for other similar parcels that the city has landward of our existing boardwalk. Okay, what else? Moving forward, let's see. You have a resolution number 51. Mayor, I know you want to make this announcement as well, where there'll be a temporary assistant. I'll let you handle that one, but that's the resolution for someone sitting in this room. Quite, and I look forward to working with him. It's going to be interesting. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Deeney.
It was 14. I'm sorry, Mr. Deeney. Where is it? Number 14, bulkheads? Oh, yes. Mr. Blumberg and Mayor, please. Ordinance number 06 of 2014. You'll remember Mr. Millay owns a house that's between Argyle and Fredericksburg.
Correct.
That block, and there's a tiny lot that doesn't have any frontage on the street that the city owns. This resulted because years ago, Oak Terrace was vacated, and the man has been trying to buy it for a number of years. We did get an appraisal for the property. We came up with a price of $10,500. The law requires that it can be a private sale, but you have to notify and give the opportunity for every property owner having adjoining land, and there are several others, the opportunity to bid. So in effect, it's almost like it's a private but bidding process. I've laid it out in the ordinance. The minimum price is $10,500. It's a piece of land that the man uses as a backyard now, has asked us to sell it to him. I have the appraisal here. I have the entire booklet. I think you got the front page that gives the price $10,500. If you'd like to read the entire appraisal, which is got a number of pages to it, I have it right here. I'd be happy to give it to you. And we're going to move forward and sell that piece of ground too. If you have any questions on that, you've heard, we've been talking about this for a number of months, so we're finally going to get it finalized.
Good.
Anything
Thank you
else?
again, Scott. Rich?
Okay.
Mayor and Commissioners. Turned it off. I think I did that on purpose. I don't know. Turned it off. Mayor and Commissioners, this is a very pleasurable announcement, although usually a more difficult one, my 43rd, actually, to introduce an operating budget for a town in New Jersey, this one, of course, in Margate. And we have prepared with great expertise on the part of our department heads, and I say that really, really meaning that statement, because they worked very hard with Lisa, especially as our CFO, with Commissioner Bloomberg, and we're pleased to present a budget here that's as good a budget as I think I've seen in a long time. The increase in this budget, and there is an increase, is $178,000 on a $30 million budget. So it's basically a flat budget. It's a 0.5% increase. We know we have 2.5% caps. This is a half percent increase. There is no increase in the tax rate. The tax rate is exactly the same as it was, and that's attributable to the department's really meeting a wonderful challenge, and I particularly want to acknowledge the police department who met the challenge, came in with a budget that was the same as last year, a few dollars short of last year, but essentially the same as last year. I want to acknowledge the lifeguards. Our budget is down as well in the beach patrol, which is now under the fire department. I want to acknowledge the Public Works Department. The Public Works Department budget for main operations, $2 million, is less than it was last year. So you have three major departments with budgets less than last year that contributed greatly to our ability to meet the demands of the public and yet come in with a budget that produces essentially no increase and no tax increase at all. So, Commissioners, the summary sheet is on top of the budget that you have. I'll make a copy available to anybody else that would like to have it. The budget will ultimately get published. There'll be a public hearing if you introduce it tonight on March 20th. And after that public hearing, there'll be a second reading. So that's the end of this report. That's pretty simple this time.
Thank you, Rich. And I'd also like to compliment Rich and everybody, all down that worked so hard to give us such a legitimate budget. Thank you all. Lisa.
Good afternoon. Before I begin my report, I just want to take a second and acknowledge a loss of one of our family members, Ann Pancoast, who passed away. One thing I could say about her is she was a very dedicated and probably the most concerned citizen, and I think probably the rest of you will agree with that. So she will be missed by many. To continue on with my report, you'll see at the Commissioners' places, I've prepared a finance update, and I will begin preparing this on a regular basis. This represents our financial status and activity for the period ending January 31st, 2014. Just to cover some of the highlights, our total cash on hand is approximately $8.4 million. Our total receipts that we took in January for our general fund are $5.1 million, of which $5,048,000 were in tax collections. Our total disbursements out of our general fund were $5,160,000. Including in the receipts for January, we received additional proceeds from FEMA relating to Hurricane Sandy of $33,795, which brings our total to date received from FEMA to $1,384,828. I also included on the second page just a couple of the financial highlights from our annual financial statement that you would be interested in. Our current fund balance, or our surplus as you may refer to it, is $4,119,635. Our utility fund balance is $758,228. But the utility fund balance, as was discussed in prior meetings, is projected to increase due to the increase in our utility rates this year. Total debt was $53,526,367, which gave us a net debt as a percentage of equalized value of 0.982%, which was the lowest it's been in a very long time. Aside from that, on the agenda tonight, we will be introducing two capital ordinances. 2014-7 is a general capital ordinance. This is appropriating funds in the amount of $3,734,000, of which additional debt, new debt, will be $3,547,300. But I need to explain this to you because I know it's been our budget for the capital to remain within $3.5 million. And although we're authorizing additional debt of $3,547,000, you will also see in the next meeting or the one thereafter, once I've had a chance to analyze our current capital, we will be canceling prior authorizations of debt, which will reduce our debt, of what I estimated at first glance was about $200,000. In addition to that, included in this ordinance, we're due to receive funding for a beach access, handicap access of approximately $30,000. So when you back out those two items, the actual debt that we're authorizing does stay within the $3.5 million amount. Also, one thing I want to point out is I received notice today from the representative assisting us with our FEMA claims, that they have estimated, we've been waiting for an estimate for the renovations at City Hall on Washington Avenue. And Ed and myself met with them a few weeks ago. Ed has supplied them with information and toured the facility with them. And the representative emailed me today, and based upon first glance, he's estimating the project to be approximately $1 million. So that's good news, because included in this ordinance, we're appropriating approximately $1,500,000 for renovations and furnishings. So once we receive the FEMA proceeds, which will be net of any other insurance proceeds we receive, it will be going towards paying down that future debt. So, but we have to get the funding in place in order to do the work. So we are staying within that budget. There's also another capital ordinance, 2014-8, which is for our water and sewer utility. And it was discussed, and Rich had recommended to you, and everyone was in agreement, that budget for capital items will be separate, and that you authorized to do up to $1 million. Here we are authorizing, a total of $974,299. When you add in the ordinance that's on for second reading today of $180,000, again, it exceeds the $1 million. However, I will also be canceling prior authorizations under the utility, which will help us to remain within that $1 million limit. Okay? If you have any questions about anything, let me know. I have sent the detail of everything to the various department heads. So once the funding is in place, you can go ahead and proceed with, your capital items. Just lost my notes. I also put at the commissioners' places, I was at the JIF meeting yesterday, the monthly meeting, and they came out with our 6-year loss ratios. We're still doing well. The MEL loss ratio, that's the excess liability coverage. The overall for the JIF is 124.9%, and Margate is 100.6%. So there we're basically paying out what we're putting in. The JIF that covers our, general liability, property, workman's compensation, overall for the JIF is 93.2, Margate is 63.2. And the employment practice liability, the ratio for the overall JIF is 159.3, and we are 87.7. So we are doing very well with all our claims to date. And they reported overall in the JIF, I think currently they're at a record low for general liability cases of only 72. They managed to close last month, it was either 12 or 14 cases among all the member towns, one of which being Margate's. And just to let you know, I've been in touch with representatives with the state health benefits, and I am trying to work on coordinating and having another health fair here for our employees, and bringing down representatives from the state health benefit program to perform assessments, for which now that the state also has a wellness program, is offering employee incentives. So I've reached out to see if we could hold that here. They are in agreement. Now that we have the facility, we're at a great advantage, and it will be no cost to us. So I think it will be a great benefit to the city and to the employees. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa. Frank?
Yeah, we've been very busy the past month. We've dealt with about a half a dozen storms. Utility-wise, we've had like 3 water main breaks. We had to replace a fire hydrant. We had to shut off well over 200 homes, and we had to rebuild at least 4 storm drains. We've been going around town patching potholes, which I know there's a lot of them around. We'll continue to do that. We also been out at the ball field. We've been cleaning out all the beds and getting it ready for the spring season and getting ready to mulch in the beginning of March. I also got a call today from Barber Surf Rake. We're going to get delivery on a brand-new surf rake to clean our beaches this summer within the next 30 to 40 days. That's it.
Thank you, Frank. Chief?
All is good at the fire department, Mayor, and I have nothing else to report this week.
Thank you very much, Tony. Ed?
Okay, projects that are currently under construction, the police station emergency generator has been replaced. It's in place, it's operational. Everything's good. They moved in and out rather quickly on that. The road program, currently, actually they were scheduled to come back and resume work on the 24th, but they actually came in this week. They're doing utility work on Haverford right now. So provided the weather stays with us, they'll continue to get everything finished up. We have some messy roads out there, unfortunately, but once they're back on site and they stay on site, they'll move quickly. They've told me they'll bring in a second, third, or fourth crew if necessary. Beach bulkhead repairs. Essentially, we had, as a result of the storm, we had many small damaged areas of beach bulkheads, as well as a large section on Sumner Avenue. We put that out to bid. We had the pre-construction meeting on the 18th, and the contractor is scheduled to start working on the week of the 24th, which is next week, so, which is good. Won't take him long to get everything cleaned up. Relative to what Lisa was speaking about, the Washington Avenue Municipal Building, the FEMA reps that we're dealing with have been very helpful. They have definitely are looking out for us and attempting to get as much reimbursement as we can. So when I spoke to one of the gentlemen today, and we're going to meet next, or at least have a phone conversation next week to attempt to make sure that we get that number up as high as we can. And he's very optimistic, and I have to meet with Jimmy on some things also, but that's it's better than I expected, and I was very optimistic previously, so it's good. The direct install program application is going in. The preliminary results looked very good for us for some of the improvements to this building that need to be done. Water tank painting, the contracts have been forwarded to the contractor. As soon as they're executed, he'll move into town to get the interior of that tank done. The beach access, there's our current beach access, we need to get that out to bid and expend it by June 30th, which should be no problem. We attended a meeting for the next round. We're going to prepare that application, and I was told that not a guarantee, but close to a guarantee, we'll get another round, enough for another access. So we're going to keep moving on that. And that's about it for right now that's active. The only other thing I did, we met with the gas company relative to they're starting to look at doing main upgrades to take some of our low pressure area mains and convert them to high pressure. They said, they're working in Atlantic City now. They did the majority of them in Ventnor, and now we're going to start looking at them for Margate, which is a good thing. We just have to coordinate. Some of the streets they want to do are under moratorium, so we spoke about that. But it's an effort that needs to be done, given a lot of these low-pressure mains are close to 100 years old. So that'll be a good thing for the city also.
Ed, on the Washington Street building, that's, great news that we all heard today, this week, relative to the $1 million. But with respect to your schematic that is now complete, would you make arrangements individually with each of the commissioners to make sure that they are totally familiar with where the schematic was? And that should take place within the next 2 weeks, so that on March 4th, I think, whatever the next date of our next meeting is, we can sign off on the schematic, and as soon as the ordinance passes on March 20th, we can contract you for the second phase, which is the design phase.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that you meet individually with them as well as the librarian, Jim, and we should put a resolution on March 4th to accept the schematic and so we can move forward.
And I have met with a few of the department heads, but I'll make sure I meet with all the department heads individually, as well as the commissioners individually, so that they can see where we're heading with this.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
But I have to make sure that it gets up to the AOC before you approve it with that last round of recommendations.
Right.
I'm still waiting. I'm going to wait for that.
I mean, I know you know, Ed, but what's being said is the court has to approve this too, because a lot of this is for the court, so that's contingent on you hearing in the next 2 weeks. Do you expect to hear in the next 2 weeks on that?
I'm waiting for Ed to give me
Yeah.
the revision.
The plans, all the comments that we can incorporate were incorporated in plans. I reviewed them today. I have to get some copies printed, and then I just have 1 or 2 questions I need to talk to the chief about relative to prisoner placement, and that I need to the proper way to address that. But most of their comments were more, rather than changes, they were explanations of areas in the courtroom. They needed them labeled differently, or they needed an explanation of what they were. So it shouldn't be a problem, because, like I said, most of their comments were minor.
Okay. Fred, have you seen these plans too, these last ones? Thank you.
Okay. So we'll get that done quickly,
We
Ed?
can't award your contract till the 20th, but I'd like to keep this thing moving so that it does not delay beyond the 20th, so we meet our deadlines. Thank you.
Okay.
And just on that also, based on the schematics, I've asked my mechanical, electrical, and plumbing fire protection people to start doing detailed cost estimates, because that will help us with the FEMA reimbursement. So they're working on them also.
Ed, we're understood we have to move, and Maureen, that's got to get done quickly, okay?
I'm just waiting.
All right, fine. Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much. Mario, do you mind if I go first today?
No, go.
I have one thing. As Lisa said, we all lost, a very good friend in Ann Pancoast, and I'd just like to announce that I am going to propose that we rename the dog park in her memory. I think it would be fitting that she was so much a part of that, and I hope we'll get support from the rest of the commission. Mario, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I have 2 thank yous. My first is to Mr. Deeney for the extraordinary work that he personally did on the budget, along with the entire management team. So thank you for the great budget that you have placed in front of us. My second thanks goes out to Frank Richetti and his team for the extra special effort that I know they put in when we're hit with these storms, whether they're going to be big storms or little storms. His guys always seem to be ready, willing, and able to take the extra step to make sure that the residents of Margate are safe. So thank you for that. And that's all I have.
All right.
Just, and Mayor, for one thing, I just got an email relative to the stormwater pump station, the joint project. Apparently, design is just about done. They're requesting that I attend a meeting tomorrow to review the design with Ventnor as well as Atlantic County Utilities Authority. So I just thought I'd bring that up. So everything is moving forward on this.
You're available for that meeting tomorrow?
Yes.
Good. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. All right. This time, we'll open to public comment, 3 minutes on anything that was discussed today.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Following up on the remarks of Dee Dee Hiltner, I think it's important to take notice of the governor's State of the State address, whereby he issued a caveat to municipalities not to use the increasing in fees and services as a way to circumvent the 2% cap. And I think we should be very cognizant of that, particularly where other municipalities may be aggressively increasing these fees, and we're using that as the yardstick or comparison, and I think that would be inappropriate, incorrect, and possibly illegal. Referencing the clerk's comments concerning the Board of Estimates, I think it's very important for this commission to be on the ball concerning that $1.3 million henny penny bogus asbestos issue, and also the possibility of merging K through 3 into the Ventnor school system. I think that should be aggressively pursued. Commissioner Teresa Kelly and the board president over there are on board, and I think we should reinitiate these meetings with both the Ventnor Commission and with the Ventnor Board of Education. Last but not least, our esteemed solicitor made an oblique, somewhat confusing reference to resolution number 5-1. If he could clarify 5-1, that might be helpful. And also, what is the cost to the municipality in addition to Mr. Deeney's cost?
Okay. Good.
No cost.
No cost.
Oh, that's a great relief. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you need any other explanation? Do you have a hard time reading that, or what would you like me to do?
His 3 minutes are...
3 minutes are up.
Anyone else?
Did she have to come up to the podium? 3 minutes.
What would you like explained, Mrs. Simon? Oh, go ahead, explain to me which resolution. I knew that, I knew. Are you looking for Resolution 51? Okay, I'll do it as quickly as I can. If you let me, please. Thank you. Mr. Deeney is going on a 2-month hiatus. During that time, we have decided to appoint an acting temporary business administrator, and we have gladly chosen Chief Wilson. Okay? At no charge to the city. So say thank you.
Assistant.
That's what I said, didn't I?
Did you say assistant?
Just to make it clear, it's not a hiatus. I'm going on an extended, prearranged vacation across the country, trip across the country. It was kind of a retirement trip. Didn't think I'd still be here, but I'm pleased to still be here, and the commissioners hopefully are pleased to have me come back. I'll find out when I get back here. But while it's a vacation, it's not a paid vacation, Mr. Sewell. So frankly, with me being gone, Chief Wilson's going to be in touch with me by phone, and unless he's on the phone all day with me, it's not going to cost anything for either his services or mine. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Steve Altman, 9003 Amherst Avenue, Margate. Under the subject of acknowledgements, several people made acknowledgements. I'd like to. Under the topic of safe, orderly, and attractive, the names Mr. Roger Rubin, and Jim Galantino, and Frank Riccardi have to be acknowledged for making our community safe, orderly, and attractive. Our chiefs, both of fire and police, generally keeping our community safe. Ramifications from Storm Sandy, we have to acknowledge Mr. Abbott, Mr. Deeney, Mr. Wahlberg, and Mayor Becker for all of the work that they did in communicating with the state. Lisa McLaughlin and Commissioner Blumberg for their work on finance, and the mayor and commissioners in general for not being like most of the rest of the state and being under indictment by some agency of the state. Fred, I have to acknowledge the sound is better tonight, but the real reason that I'm standing here is that the mayor said that he was going to look into getting some baffles to help us hear you much better than we do as the audience. The question that I would pose is, these are public meetings. If the public can't understand what you're saying, are these public meetings? So I would love to see a few $1,000s spent on baffles to make this room more auditory friendly. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else?
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. In regards to Fred Verna's comments, I guess I'm a little surprised because Commissioner Tobey does such research, and I'm surprised that she didn't really look into all that the city's done. But in addition to his work, I mean, Margate's always been at the forefront of recycling. We have Franz and sustainability, and so there's this great new campaign, and it's relabeled and everything, but I want to thank Mr. Verna for bringing out, there's a wealth of stuff we've been doing, and we should at least get it out there. Also, as far as the budget's concerned, I guess I'm a little cautious, or I guess I have questions about the fact that I think it's great that we have a flat budget and that we're not raising taxes. But I'm very concerned because we have a situation, a significant situation with legal fees that are going to run into 2014, that a case that the JIF is not covering, which my experience with the JIF and the mayor and legal issues is he didn't want to settle it, which is probably why the JIF's not covering it. And we already have paid $135,000 in legal fees, which the lawyer's still working for us, and I don't know how we're paying him anymore unless he's continuing to do work without a contract, which last I checked with a few business administrators and city solicitors is illegal. You can't do work without a contract and put in a purchase order after the fact, create an expansion of a contract. So I'm a little concerned with all those fees and where that money's coming from, and everything costs more money, and if everybody's department is flat and everything, then there's got to be some services that we used to be able to provide that we've cut back on, because how are we going to pay for all these legal fees? And the last thing I'd like to say is, I'm sure Mr. Deeney doesn't want to leave Chief Wolfson with a serious, potentially illegal financial issue. So I hope that before you do leave, Mr. Deeney, on your great trip for retirement, is that this serious issue about the attorney charging for work without a contract, and then the contract being
15 seconds, Mrs.
expanded.
Simon.
Look into the legality of that. It certainly isn't proper financial practices and legal practices. And I would like to know where our crackerjack auditors, Ford Scott, are on this. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. First of all, Mayor, I think it's a very good idea to honor the memory of Ann Pancoast. She was an absolutely tireless worker for the benefit of Margate, and she can never be replaced, really. And but her spirit lingers here, and I think she would be very happy to hear that the budget came in as good as it did. I'm sure that she would. And as far as the legal fees, I would say, Sharon, don't sue the city, don't sue the mayor. Tom, don't sue the city, don't sue the mayor. And right there, we'd save $135,000, maybe more.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Is there a motion to close public comment? Marty?
Oh, yes, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes,
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. We will...